Hello everyone, this is Lucy and I'm going to do a tag called Coffee House Decks created by Kay from Amidst the Grey channel, and I'm really impressed with this particular tag. I think it's very clever and I'd like to participate in it as well. So I'm going to add an additional point to this tag. She's created 13 points and chosen 13 decks. I'm going to add a 14th tag, point, because I'm going to follow the history of coffee through Europe. So coffee for me brings back memories of my time in Europe, and so I thought I'd follow the different countries that had coffee introduced into their coffee shops. So the first number one is Turkish coffee, and Turkish coffee is strong, black and very bitter, but with a hint of mysticism, because at the bottom of the cup is mud, and from the mud you can perform divination on what's to come, a bit of an oracle. It's like reading tea leaves. So Turkish coffee was introduced into the Ottoman Empire by the mystical Sufi monks who brought it back from Ethiopia, where it was being cultivated, and they started to cultivate it in Yemen in 1450. So for that reason, I have chosen the mystic Robinat, I think that's how you pronounce it. And Penelope Cline decided to take some of the quadrats from the Robinat and make meditation cards from the quadrants. So she's created this lovely deck of 75 meditation cards, and at the bottom, or in a doorway, in a Ottoman doorway, is the quadrant which you can meditate on. So for instance, this one here: alas, that spring should vanish with the rose, that youth sweet ascended manuscript should close, the nightingale that in the branches sang, ah, winced and whiter flower again. Oh, whiter flower again. Who knows? Anyway, Penelope, this is number 4 of 100, and I think I'm very lucky to have them. So that's the mystic Robinat for Turkish coffee. I think it's very appropriate to use the Sufi quadrants for that particular item. Number 2, now the Ottoman Empire invaded Hungary and introduced Turkish coffee in 1526. So Hungary, it wasn't widely used, but it was introduced in 1526. It didn't become popular until the 1867. I'm getting brown stains on my cards. I don't know why. Never used the deck, so I don't know why they're there. This particular deck is from Sullivan, Hisman, and he creates a number of Tarot di Marseille decks including the Budapest deck, which is why I've chosen it, the Budapest deck for the drip. No, the espresso shot. The espresso shot is a deck that's strong, punchy, and gets straight to the point. Well, you can't get any better than this one, I don't think. It's small, it's strong, with just 3 colors. It's punchy, and it gets straight to the point. So using this to read with is, I think if I was to read with this, I'd probably just use 3 cards. Bit like the espresso shot. Strong, punchy, and it gets straight to the point. Pip deck based on TDM, Tarot di Marseille. Look at force. Six, 7, 8. So that's the Budapest deck by Sullivan Hisman. I'll put everything down below for you all. So from Hungary, it moved across to Italy in 1570. The merchants, the Viennese merchants, brought it back in sacks, and it was distributed from pharmacies as a medicinal drink. I'm going to show you Eugene Vinitski's Venetian tarot, and I believe he's got half a dozen decks left on his website if you want him in his shop. Still available. So the Venetian merchants brought it back to Italy, where it became popular to the point that the clergy and the politicians became worried that Italy would become dependent on the Ottoman Empire, who was an enemy at the time. And so they tried to ban coffee. But in the end, one of the bishops loved it so much, he got it approved and legislated that it would become available throughout Italy. And so it is now part of the Italian DNA. In fact, you see little coffee bars everywhere, including petrol stations where you can go and get your espresso shot. So I've called this I've used this deck for the drip. That's simple and gets the job done, and it's based on Rider-Waite, so easy to read if you know the Rider-Waite system. Don't really need a book, and it's a beautiful deck, and it's been in my collection since 2018, I think. It's one of the first indie decks that I ever bought. So the next one is the Pourover deck. And for the Pourover deck, a deck you need to take your time with, but it's totally worth the effort, is the Sola Busca by Giordano Berti. Mr. Berti has a lovely cardstock. I'm a cardstock snob, so I do like Mr. Berti's cardstock. So Sola Busca is one of the first tarot decks in Italy, and you can see by the costumes that it's early 14th century, 15th century. It was even created prior to the Visconti Forza. And you really do need a manual or a book explaining why each of the images were chosen and the meaning behind why this man's ripping a baby in half. Yes. And so it's, for that period it's a bit violent, but it's one that once you understand it, it's totally worth it. So look at that. That's death. Poor head. Yeah, so that's the next one. The next one is the Cafe Cappuccino, the deck that's classical and sophisticated and maybe a bit fussy. Well, it's a bit fussy because the Catholic Church didn't like popes and popesses in their Tarot di Marseille decks. So when coffee moved to Belgium in 1615, because the Belgian people were big merchant travelers as well, and they brought back coffee from the east to Prague, not Prague, the capital of Belgium anyway, starts with B, Bruges. And so I've chosen Pablo Robledo's Vandenborre deck, which is Flemish. So the Flemish merchants brought back coffee to Belgium, and the Catholic Church for the Tarot di Marseille at the time, it's fussy because Catholic Church didn't like the popes and popesses, and they so the Cartiers substituted the Pope for the Bacchus and the popesses further on, I think. So this is Pablo's deck. Aren't the lines brilliant on this deck? And the faces, the hermit. I really do like this particular version of the TDM. See if I can find the preface. So it's quite a sophisticated and classy deck, but a bit fussy. No, can't see it. I've probably gone right past it. Nice coloration. This deck has nice coloration. No, gone right past her. Look at the moon. Anyway, so that's the Cappuccino deck. That's my choice for the Cappuccino deck. Next deck is the French deck. So coffee moved down into France in 1669. The ambassador from the Ottoman Empire introduced coffee to the court of Louis XIV, and it became very popular. And probably around the same time, cartomancy became very popular. Tarot de Marseille became very popular in France. This deck is Dodal, again by Pablo Rubaiyat, and it is one of the most popular TDMs around. A Dodal, you can get Dodal from Hisman, Sullivan Hisman, and Eve somebody. But Dodal, you can get Dodal all over the place. You can also get it from other places as well. So it's quite a popular deck. So for instance, the Cafe Latte, a deck that's well received and highly palatable. So this is still a very popular deck in the tarot community, and it's used by many people doing divination. And this one has the Pope and Popess in it. So that's France, and then coffee was introduced to Spain around 1764, and in 1764 I have chosen for the con Panna a deck that puts you in your place but with a hint of sweetness. So for that I have chosen Jaus, or Jaus deck. This is the 4th edition, so each edition she has a different color. So this is the 4th edition, and the cards are longer than what they are currently. And this deck will put you in your place. Look at the Emperor, but with a hint of sweetness. There's the Papa, and it's a pip deck. So for me, Europe represents pips, whether they be Tarot de Marseille or Italian decks, or just any deck. European decks tend to be basically pip decks. Isn't this a pretty deck? So it has a hint of sweetness to it, a hint of sweetness. So that's, I've got here number 7, but it's really number 8. So the next deck is number 9, the Chai Latte deck. It's a Chai Latte deck. A deck that's warm and cozy and nurturing. So from Spain, it then moved on to America and became popular after the Boston Tea Party revolt in Massachusetts. They switched from tea to coffee. So for that, I've chosen, for the Chai Latte, I've chosen a deck that's warm, cozy and nurturing. So this is Tarot aux Arts, and it was created by an artist in America, and I think it's cozy and warm. I love the colors of this deck. I use it at Christmas because of the backs of them. This is the 1st edition. I don't think the backs are the same now, but This is Tarot de Ozarks. As I said, I'll put the names of the decks down below. More back to front. Here we go. Here's the Tower. I just love the colours of this TDM. It's pretty, isn't it? So that's the Chai Latte, a deck that's warm, cozy and nurturing. Very pretty deck. So the next one is the Matcha deck, which is green tea. And for that I've chosen another Giordano Berti deck, and it's my most favorite Berti deck, and it's the Oriental Tarot. So green tea originated in China and Japan, in the Asian countries, and matcha is very popular in both countries, and Taiwan as well. You can buy some really nice flavored tea, green tea, and this is a deck that's an acquired taste or a bit unconventional. So green matcha is an acquired taste because it's very bitter tea when it's drunk in its natural form, and it's made from the tip of the camellia bush, and the very new growth on the tip. They use to powder the leaves to create matcha. So I've chosen the Oriental Tarot. It's still a European deck, printed from sheets that were found in Italy. And I think it's quite beautiful, this deck. Am I cutting you off? I forget to look at the screen. I'm too busy looking at the cards. So this is the Oriental Tarot by Giordano Berti, or Tarocchi, Oriental Tarocchi. A very nice deck. Cardstock's brilliant again. I do like his cardstock. So that is the Matcha Latte, a deck that's an acquired taste and a bit unconventional. Well, for a Italian deck, having a Chinaman looking at the stars is very unconventional. So the next deck is the Hot Chocolate, a deck that speaks to the younger version of yourself. So now coffee's all over the place. It's throughout Europe. It's in America, getting very popular in America by this time, and different types of coffee are becoming popular as well. And so I have chosen for this particular deck the Hot Chocolate, a deck that speaks to the younger version of yourself. I've chosen the Musterberg Tarot because it was created in a carnival or a circus type environment on a and everyone's got red hair, which I had when I was young. So you could say I was the siren in those days. It makes me laugh when I see this deck. It's quite cute. But look at the chariot. The guy on in the cage here. He's got red hair. Everyone's got red hair. When I was young, red hair was not cool. Nobody wanted to know anybody with red hair. So, but look, he's got a beard with red hair. The Queen of Swords has red hair. The Hermit has red hair. So I think this is a fun deck. And it speaks of a younger version of myself. Again, it's a pip deck. Very European. So the next deck is the Italian soda deck, and for that I've chosen Latte del Tarocchi. Latte Tarocchi by Maria. I can't see that. There we go. Latte Tarocchi by Anna Maria de Ofrios. Anna Maria de Ofrio. La Corte di Tarocchi di Anna Maria. So this is a lovely deck. It's one that you just pull out and look at. And it's popular with many in the community. I'm doing it again, aren't I? Cutting you off. That's because they're long. And I think I've missed one out. The Mocha. I'll have to do the Mocha next. Tarocchi. So this is a deck, fun, low-keyed, and not overly serious. So how perfect is this deck for the Italian soda? So for the Mocha, I forgot the Viennese chocolate cakes. You can't go past a nice Hungarian and Viennese chocolate cakes. So in 1683, coffee was introduced to Vienna society, and it became quite a treat to go and sit in the coffee house and talk politics and gossip about people and all sorts of Viennese history and stuff. And UNESCO has added Viennese coffee houses as intangible culture to their list of heritages. So what with Hungary adopting it fully in 1867 and Vienna adopting it in 1683, it became popular with all the people who like to linger, to meet friends and gossip about all sorts of things. And you would often find in coffee houses Sigmund Freud, Egon Schiele, Leon Trotsky, and Gustav Klimt in the coffee house. Sometimes you would see Mozart and Beethoven and Strauss playing music in the more upmarket coffee houses. So coffee is part of the Viennese society. and still is, and still is. You have it with a nice big slice of chocolate cake, Viennese chocolate cake, or strudel or something decadent like that. So I don't have the Clint tarot, so I chose something that was almost similar, and that's the Keymaster tarot, which is now mass market. So pretend it's Austrian instead of Swedish because it's quite Clinty. It has that decadent feel, a deck that's rich, indulgent, and a bit extra. Well, I think it's still pips, but I think this is rich and indulgent and a bit extra. So this is my mocha, my hot mocha. A bit of coffee and a bit of chocolate, and all I can think of is that lovely chocolate cake. I'm hungry. All right, so that ends our tour of all the different European countries where coffee was introduced, and we come to the end. The herbal tea. The herbal tea, a deck that takes down a notch or helps you unwind. Well, I'm going to introduce you to a deck that I got for Christmas, and that's the La Flora Tarot by a Canadian. So I'd say coffee moved up into Canada not long after it became popular in the northern part of the States. And so for herbal teas, you can't go past a Flora deck, can you? And this deck was given to me at Christmas for my birthday. And I'm going to study it. It's one of the decks I'm going to study this coming year. It's a lovely, lovely deck. Look at the box. Look at the box. And I'll show you inside my box. Isn't that lovely? It's all florals in there as well. So this is my herbal tea deck. So I'll learn all about the meanings behind each of the different cards. Why is that? The Wheel of Fortune. Why is the Iris Justice? Why is the Hangman Dragon? So I've got a bit of study ahead. Ponies, I love ponies, is Temperance. Hibiscus is the Tower. Primula is the Moon. It comes out at night, doesn't it, Primulas? I've got decks everywhere. Sunflower is the sun, of course. And the passion flower is the world. So I'll just do a few more. So I'll enjoy studying this deck. Six of Wands is the figures. The fig. So thank you for my birthday present. Many blessings, everyone. I hope this wasn't too long, and I hope I haven't confused everybody. I did forget Austria to the end, but anyway, many blessings. Have a great day. Love you all, Lucy.